Rain hammered the cracked windshield as Elias Moreno gripped the steering wheel of his rusted sedan. He just finished a grueling double shift at the factory, his back screaming for rest, when headlights flickered erratically on the roadside. At first, he thought it was just another stranded motorist, but then he saw her, half-conscious, leaning against a sleek black car, rain soaking her designer coat. "Are you okay?" Elias shouted over the storm, skidding to a stop. The woman tried to answer but collapsed in his arms. Without thinking, Elias carried her to his car. The expensive car she drove didn't even register with him, only that her skin was clammy, her breathing shallow. Inside his car, his 6-year-old daughter, Lila, stirred from sleep in the back seat. "Daddy, what's wrong?" she whispered, clutching her stuffed rabbit. "Nothing, honey. We're helping someone," Elias said, forcing calm into his voice. He hit the gas, racing toward the nearest hospital. When they arrived, doctors swarmed her immediately. Elias caught only fragments, severe dehydration, possible heart arrhythmia. He sat in the waiting area with Lila asleep against his chest, wet clothes clinging to him, refusing to leave until someone told him she'd be okay. Hours later, a nurse approached. "Sir, she'll make it. You saved her life bringing her in so fast. Do you know her?" Elias shook his head. "No, just couldn't leave her there." He left before sunrise, too tired to think about who she was. For Elias, it wasn't about recognition. It was about doing the right thing, even when life hadn't been kind to him. He never imagined the woman he carried from the rain was Helena Strathmore, one of the wealthiest entrepreneurs in the city. And she wouldn't forget the man who disappeared without a name. 2 weeks later, Helena Strathmore was back on her feet. But something in her had shifted. Lying in that hospital bed, she realized how fragile life was, and how, for once, her wealth couldn't save her when she collapsed alone in the rain. Helena had spent days searching for the man who rescued her. No one knew his name, he'd left no trace. The hospital's security footage showed only a tired father carrying a child in his arms, soaking wet, refusing even to give his full name. Meanwhile, Elias returned to his grind. His landlord was threatening eviction. His daughter needed new shoes for school, and the old sedan barely started anymore. Still, he told Lila bedtime stories about heroes, not knowing he'd become one in someone else's eyes. One evening, Helena tracked him down through the factory's parking lot after a shift. She watched him walking hand in hand with his daughter, the weight of the world on his shoulders but a smile for the little girl anyway. "Excuse me," Helena called. Elias turned, wary, holding Lila close. "You're the man from the hospital," she said softly. "You saved me." Elias shook his head. "I just drove you there. Anybody would have done the same." "No," Helena said firmly. "Most people wouldn't stop in the pouring rain with a child in the car. You risked yourself for a stranger. I want to thank you properly." "There's no need," Elias replied, already turning away. "I didn't do it for a reward." Helena looked at Lila, whose coat was too thin for the winter wind. "At least let me buy your daughter a meal," Helena said gently. Elias hesitated, pride warring with exhaustion. Then he sighed. "All right, one meal. But that's all." Helena smiled because she already knew it wouldn't be. Dinner at a quiet diner turned into hours of conversation. Lila chatted about school and her dream of being an astronaut, while Helena listened as though nothing in the world mattered more. Elias spoke little about himself, but Helena pieced it together. The long hours, the low pay, the endless struggle to give Lila a better life. The next week, Helena showed up again, this time at Elias's apartment building, carrying bags of groceries. "I just had extra," she lied when Elias frowned. "Don't make me throw them away." Days later, she visited Lila's school play, sitting in the back row so Elias wouldn't feel embarrassed. She slipped envelopes of help under the door, always anonymous, until Elias confronted her. "You can't keep doing this," he said, eyes flashing with pride and frustration. "I'm not a charity case." Helena didn't flinch. "You're right," she said. "You're not. But sometimes the strongest people need someone in their corner. Let me be in yours." For the first time, Elias didn't argue. Maybe because Lila hugged Helena so tightly every time she came. Maybe because he saw Helena wasn't doing this out of pity, but gratitude. Or maybe because, deep down, he couldn't remember the last time someone had cared about him. Weeks passed, and Helena's visits became part of their lives. But Helena was planning something Elias couldn't imagine. One evening, she asked them both to meet her downtown. When Elias arrived, holding Lila's hand, he froze. They stood in front of a newly renovated building with a glowing sign, Moreno's Cafe, Grand Opening. Helena turned to Elias with tears in her eyes. You told me you've always dreamed of owning a little place where you and Lila could work together. I bought this building, but it's yours. Completely yours. Elias stared in shock. Helena, I can't accept. Yes, you can, she interrupted softly. You saved my life. Now I'm giving you a chance to live yours fully. Lila squealed, running inside to see the colorful chairs and shiny counter. Elias stood there, trembling, as Helena pressed the keys into his hand. This isn't charity, Helena said. This is gratitude. You rushed me to the hospital without knowing who I was. Now I get to say thank you in a way that matters. For the first time in years, Elias felt the crushing weight on his shoulders lift. He pulled Helena into a hug, words failing him as tears burned his eyes. Sometimes, kindness comes full circle. One rainy night, a poor single dad saved a stranger, and 2 weeks later, that stranger changed his life forever. If this story touched your heart, share it with someone who still believes in humanity. Because kindness costs nothing, but can change everything.